Hello, intrepid followers, subscribers, and watchers of my YouTube videos. Today, we're doing a different kind of video. It is one I've heard about doing, and I found the questions for. It's a comic book Q&A tag. So, let's talk about comic books. Okay, let's get into it. So, I found the questions online. I think they were in someone else's... I think I gathered the questions from a few different sources because the tag hasn't been done in a while. I'm going to be challenging some people at the end of the video. So if you're watching this and you also collect comic books and you're on YouTube or any other social media platform, you might hear your name at the end. So stay to the end. So I narrowed it down to a few questions, not too many. So the first one was, what was your first comic book? This was a little hard. I've been collecting since I was about 10. So that was about 30 or so years ago. So I narrowed it down to two that I think were the first maybe two that I bought. One, I remember they were either bought at some event that was at some events place that had, it was an event for my dad's work, and it was at a place that was like a resort kind of thing. So like people would come there and use it for like camping as well as RVing, and then also for just events. And they had a little mini mart and they had comic books in there. And my dad said, go get something you want. Well, instead of going to the treats, the candy section, I saw the rack, a spinner rack of comic books. And it was either one of these two, I think. It's either Classic X-Men number 14. So the cover drew me in. I was like, who are these people on the cover? And what's going on? Why are they surrounded by things? Or it was this one, New Mutants, number 36. So it was one of those two. And again, the covers just drew me in. I wanted to know who these people were and what they were about and what was going on with them. So yeah, they just drew me in. So it was one of these two, I think. I don't know if you noticed the cover prices on this. This one was $1 when I bought it, and this one was 75 cents. The average comic book costs about $3 nowadays. So talk about inflation. This was in the 80s, the early mid 80s. Yeah. Yep. So the next question is, what was the last comic book you read? Well, I just happened to be reading some comic books before I started the video today. So this was a recent comic book that came out a few weeks ago. It is from Marvel, and it is Star Wars, and it is Dr. Aphra, number 4. I really like this character. Dr. Aphra is sort of a Indiana Jones meets Han Solo kind of character. She's more in the comic books. She hasn't been in any of the movies or the TV shows yet. That would be so cool if she showed up in one of the TV shows or one of the movies. Ooh. But her story takes place around the same time as the events of, I think, Empire Strikes Back, I can't remember for sure, but it's around that time period. The next one is my favorite character. Oh, that's a hard one to narrow down, my favorite character, because I have so many favorite characters. If I say, so I'm gonna break it down into a few different kinds of characters. When it comes to like the X-Men, my favorite characters in the X-Men it's two of them. One is Dazzler. This is one of her comic books. She had a run in the 80s. It went for a good while. It went like I'm gonna say almost 100 issues, I think, off the top of my head. She's really cool. She has the ability to take sound and make it into lasers and lights. She went up against Galactus within her first few issues, so that's pretty powerful. Another one of my favorites from the X-Men is Colossus. I actually have a Funko for it. Let me pull it down here. This guy right here, this is Colossus. He's also one of my favorites from the X-Men. And then I have my favorite non-X-Men Marvel, and that would be Hawkeye. So this is the Hawkeye from the movies, but Hawkeye from the comic books is also one of my favorites. So my favorite DC character is, of course, Nightwing. This is his late 90s black and red outfit. So Nightwing is one of my DC Comics favorite characters, along with this lovely lady right here. Batwoman, pretty cool. Now, when it comes to non-big DC Comics or Marvel Comics characters that I really love, I couldn't find one with just a picture of him on it, but this is Curse Words, the character Wizard. He is from a Image Comics comic book called Curse Words. His name's Wizard. All right, favorite comic book event or crossover? Ooh, this is a hard one. There have been so many different ones over the years. They have a tendency in the summertime usually to do these big crossover events with the different characters from different comic books doing different things. But I think one of the ones that was the biggest one for me that really impacted me when I was younger and I was reading comic books was the Inferno Saga. So this is what happened in New Mutants. So it was all the X-Men comic books, which I think there were like 5 at that point in time. And it was a crossover with all of them, and it had to do with magic and the mutants and like all this interesting stuff around some of the characters that had to do with that. So that was one of my favorite crossovers for sure. Favorite writer. This question's favorite writer. Oh, there's just so many wonderful writers over the years. I can't just pick one. Devin Grayson is one that comes to mind. Charles Soule comes to mind. James Tynion IV, another really great writer. Then there's favorite artist. Oh, that's a hard one to narrow down too. Bill Sienkiewicz is a great one. Phil Jimenez. I don't know. I have to say Phil Jimenez, hands down favorite artist. I can say top favorite artist of all time is Phil Jimenez. He drew a lot of the Teen Titans during an era when I was really into Teen Titans a lot, and so really like his artwork. So yeah. So fave comic book movie. Fave movie based on a comic book. Ooh. So many great movies out there based on comic books right now or that have come out recently. Man, top 3. I'm going to give you my top 3. My top 3 are Wonder Woman, for sure. Ant-Man. Ant-Man was pretty good. And my third one would be the Batman 1984 or 1985 Batman movie. Yeah, those are my top 3, I could say. Top 3. So Fave Indie comic. Right now, my favorite independent comic book that's not DC or Marvel or Image, because Image has become really big too, but they're not very independent. I mean, they're sort of independent, but they're not. That's something for another video. What's the difference between the publishers? If you want me to do a video on just the comic book publishers and what they are and who they are, leave a comment below letting me know if you want me to do that. I can do a video on that. But right now, I have to think it's a comic book called Once and Future. It comes out from Boom Studios. This is issue number 10. I think they're on issue number 12. I have that to read, I think. Or 12, 13? Issue 13? That's the one I have to read next. This is the one I picked up. I have at my stack. It's by Kieran Gillen, Dan Mora, and Tamara Bovinello. Oh, I just messed up that name horribly. I am so sorry, Tamara. So sorry if you're watching this. I don't know if she'd watch this, but if you're out there watching this, I'm sorry I just butchered your last name. The reason I like this is the art style of Dan Mora and Tamara Bonvilla, and it's the story itself, the plot and everything in it. It's sort of Arthur, swords and sorcery, but modern, and what's going on and how our world is affected or could be affected by Excalibur and King Arthur and all that stuff. So that's pretty cool. Favorite, I didn't answer this question. I skipped over it. Favorite comic book team book. My favorite comic book team book has to be Original Excalibur from the 80s. This was written by Chris Claremont. It has the characters Rachel Summers Phoenix, Captain Britain, Kitty Pryde or Shadowcat, Nightcrawler, and Captain Britain's wife-to-be. She wasn't his wife yet. They were dating. Megan, who's a shapeshifter. An incredible writing by Chris Claremont. Art by Alan Davis, another good artist, Alan Davis, and Chris Claremont, another great writer. But I just like that team overall. I just, for some reason, gravitated to it. was excited to find it. It's sort of funny because it says, because you demanded it, Excalibur. I don't know if anyone really demanded it. I just know it happened. But that's comic books for you, you know, marketing ploys. Fave graphic novel. Ooh, fave graphic novel. That's a hard one. I've got so many graphic novels. So just so you know, graphic novels are sometimes things like this that are hardbound, or the original wording for graphic novel was the content was graphic. It wasn't graphic in that it was visual. It was graphic in that it was more adult. Yeah, I can't narrow that down because I don't have too many graphic novels that I've read that I would choose. So that's a hard one. So the next question is sort of a druthers. Which do you prefer more? It's floppy, digital, or trade. So the difference is there's floppy, which is just a single issue that comes out weekly or monthly. And then there's trade, which is, this is what this is, a trade paperback. It's a bunch of issues of a comic book series combined together and bound. It's somewhat still flimsy and not as thick. And then the other version is digital. So these are all comic books from DC Comics that are digital. They have their own app for all their comic books that's digital. There's a few different digital platforms out there. So which of the three do I like the most? Floppy, trade paperback, or digital? It's a hard sell. So I tend to read monthly or weekly certain comic books that I really want to see what's happening every month, what's going on in it, and I'll want to collect it in this format. Then there's other times where I missed a run, or I just didn't have the time or the money to afford to like read it monthly or weekly. I get the trade paperbacks. But if I can't find the trade paperbacks and I don't really want to commit to it, it's something I've heard about that I thought would be interesting to read, but I didn't want to commit to reading it. That's why I have an online service like this one. So I can read it and see what it's like and go, oh, that's what happened. Okay, I don't really want to, then if I don't like it, or it's not something I want to have like in like some sort of physical form, then I don't have to worry about it because, well, I'm starting to run out of space for even these. So, you know, talking about space, time limits, stuff like that. That's important. All right, let's go back to our questions. Oh, so the last question is one that gets brought up a lot, more in the past than nowadays, I think. It's, well, it's DC versus Marvel. Which do you like better? And, you know, that's one where I say the answer for me is yes, or both. Because I like both companies. I think they have different flavors, different feel to them. So if you're someone that wants something that's can be like, I don't know, like how you could describe the difference right now. That's a longer video. That would be another video. If you want me to do a video about DC Comics and Marvel, or again, about the publishing companies that publish comic books, leave a comment below and I will try and get a video out of that. But yeah, I like them both. I think they have their merits and they have their flaws, but I enjoy comic books created by both companies, and I enjoy the fact that they're still around. Like, in today's media and the consumption of media online, you'd think, why do they still exist? Why are they still there? But there's still a want, there's still a need, there's still an interest in it. That's what I like about them. So that's it. That's all the questions. There's not very many, so it's not a very long list. It all depends on like how deep you want to go in sharing the list. So that just leaves the people I'm going to challenge, because this is a challenge tag video. So I've narrowed the field to people, so not too many. But in the video, these are who I'm going to tag. I might tag other people on social media. We'll see. So I've narrowed it down to Comic Tom 101, John's Comic Swizz, an Englishman in SD, Bearded Comic Bro, Andre the Black Nerd, the dynamic duo of GHL Podcast, which is Jason Inman and Ashley Victoria Robinson, and Caped Joel. So if you're one of those people, I hope you make a video too. Or some other way. Like, I know one of them is a podcast. They could do it on their podcast. But anyway, I just thought this was fun to do, and I hope they join in. And if you're like, hey, I want to do these too, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. But just remember to challenge at least 2 or more people to go and do the video as well. With that, the video is over. Go ahead and check the descriptions. I'll have some information about how to find comic books and to where to buy them, along with maybe 1 or 2 charities or organizations that you can maybe know more about, that in this trying time we could learn how to help others. So that's it for now. Now you'll see a very lovely screen that shows you some other videos maybe you should watch. And if you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you real soon.